It's a beautiful blue sky up there today, but the temperatures now are starting to drop, especially overnight. And the last few nights we've seen some -1s, and there's been quite a little bit of frost around. So I want to start thinking now about protecting the garden. I've got a layer of mulch to put down, especially on this bed here. So I got a few other things to be getting on with today. So let's make a start. So here he comes now, bringing in all of my mulch from the car. How many have we got, Tony? How many have we got?
2 or 3, 2.
2, I think. And there's a bag of compost there as well. There we are, pop that on top. And a bag of compost. And just look at all them crocosmia coming back. I'll have to take them out now. They're really hard to get rid of once they take hold in the garden. Last trip now, Tony.
Jolly's number 3.
There we are. Thank you very much. This is the mulch that I have bought this year for my garden. And this is the landscape bark from B&M. So this is quite reasonable. It's £10.49 a pack. And it tells you there exactly what it does. So it suppresses weed growth, protects the roots from frost, and holds moisture for longer. Now the bark will also give a little bit of nutrients to the soil. So I'm going to pop this down now right in the centre of the bed and start spreading this out. So this is the first bed now that I want to get a little bit of mulch onto. And I've just been over it now with the hoe, just roughly, just to get up some of them crocosmia. And I don't do all of my garden at once because it would be too much of a big job and be way too expensive. So I tend to do little bits of it sort of every other year. And this one now was mulched 2 years ago. So that's completely gone now, gone into the soil. So this area of the garden is going to be done this year. So let's get some of that mulch down onto the ground. So these are quite heavy, but I can just about manage them by myself. If I walk backwards here, and I'll lay this now just here. So when you open the pack, this is what you get inside the bag. And it's lovely, damp landscape bark. And this will just add a layer of protection over the soil. And just think of it like a lovely duvet for your garden. So let's get into this bag. It's quite difficult when you first open the bag. And just start throwing down some of this mulch. It is freezing today, and it's about 6 degrees at the moment, but the temperatures now are set to plummet. So I'm not too worried at the moment about my bananas, because the bananas will take some cold temperatures, at least for a few nights anyway. And then over the next 2 nights, we're quite lucky here. The temperatures are set to rise again. So we'll see now how they're gonna do tonight. And if I come out tomorrow morning and they're looking a little bit worse for wear, I'll trim down the leaves off them and start protecting them. It's quite an enjoyable job getting your hands in all of this mulch. So you can use lots of different things in the garden to mulch. Some people use a big thick layer of compost. Others, they save the leaves and just pop the leaves around the plant. So that's a great idea, as that will feed the garden with some good nutrients. But I haven't got any good leaves in my garden, only conifers. So that way is out of the question for me. So this is the easiest way that I do it. I just buy a few bags and throw it on the garden. It's a good bit of exercise too. And I also like the way that it looks afterwards. Makes the garden look a little bit more finished. Oh, so we're getting there. Now I'm hoping that one bag will be enough to do this bed. There are some plants that don't really like too much mulching, like the salvias, as they like quite a dry soil. And the mulch just does hold the water retention in a little bit. But that's looking better already. Now let's do over this side. And then sometimes it's easier just to get in there and spread it out with your hands. And just use a rake then afterwards. Now it's a bit easier to get out of the bag. So on to now to the second bag and just give everything a good covering. And this should be just in time now for the freezing cold weather tonight. And mulch is also beneficial, as in the summer it'll help to keep the soil cool. Keeps it warm in the winter and cool in the summer. Just give everything a good covering. And it's lovely and peaceful to come out into the garden and just spend a little bit of time enjoying the lovely blue skies. So I've brushed up now around the edges, and none of this will be wasted. It'll all be put back on the borders. So it's Thursday afternoon now, and yesterday I did manage to get all of the mulching done, and I rushed out last night just to put a little bit of fleece into the top of my tree fern there, and I've also done the other one down the bottom of the garden. And I also just placed a little ball of fleece into the centre of my sago palm. And yesterday, when I was down in Swansea, I noticed that these sago palms were outside one of the hotels there in pots, and they don't get any care whatsoever. They're on the open seafront there, and they were doing just fine. They were absolutely huge. So I'm hoping now that by leaving mine outside this year, it'll be okay. If the weather does get cold for a prolonged period, then I'll just gather up the fronds. But at the moment, it's been through a few nights of minus temperatures and it seems to be doing just fine. So fingers crossed. It's lovely and sunny now around the front of the house. Beautiful November sunshine today. And I just wanted to show you that I've had a little bit of a change about. Now this, if you remember, during the summer was my dahlias. And my dahlias now, they've not been put away yet. Most of them, they're at the side of the house, just waiting to be blackened off by the frost. But here I've just brought around to the front my black bamboo there. And that's getting quite tall now. And I've just potted up into this tin, the new plant that I bought last week. And I've brought out a lovely euonymus from the garden there and just potted that up. Some cyclamen, a spare geranium, and I've just brought out one of my cordylines that I did say I was going to bring out to the front of the house. And since this has been brought out into the sunshine, and I've just given it a little bit of fresh compost on the top, and that has really perked up now. It's looking a lot better out here in the sun. Lovely colouring on that plant. There's some beautiful leaves on this one here. And they actually look as if they made of wax. They're so shiny. Such a beautiful looking plant. And I'm hoping that that euonymus there will do well in the colder weather. I've got a few of them in the back garden, so I thought why not bring one round the front. So this is the centre bed that I got done yesterday. So I've managed now to put all the mulch down here. And the other tree fern, our bargain tree fern, that one was half price. And that one too has just got a ball of fleece tucked in the top. Now in the next few days, when I get a bit more time, I'll just wrap the top of these as well. But the temperatures are going to rise soon. But what I want to have a look at today is these bananas. Now I haven't got an awful lot of time. I got about 2 hours before it gets dark. But at least I can get some of these done today. This phormium now has grown so large you can hardly see the banana tucked in there. But the stem there now I think is probably about 5 foot tall. And by protecting that now throughout the winter, hopefully I'll retain as much height to this as I can, as I want it to have a bit of a head start for next year. So I got a balance now on this wall. Get in between the tree ferns. And yes, this stem is definitely at least 5 foot tall. So I've got a sharp knife. And let's make a start carefully. Just taking off these leaves. And what a size on these. Such a shame to see them go. But hopefully they'll be back next year. So I've got 3 bananas to do in this part of the garden. So let's see now if I can cut that on an angle. I think I need to change to a serrated knife for that. So a change of knife, get back in. Give it a wiggle. Wasn't this hard last year. Probably because they were so much lower and I could see what I was doing. And just take off some of this brown foliage, not too much. And there's a lower one down here. So the one lower down, that's the pup that came up this year. And that has probably got a 2.5 foot stem. So that should be okay now for overwintering. And we'll move along now to this one. Not the easiest getting in amongst these plants. My hands are absolutely freezing. Just cut back some of these salvias. I don't want to cut it down too low. And that's 3 of them cut down now. So let's get started on the wrapping. So you can see now by looking at it from the other side just how tall these are now. And I've cut them off now at an angle, and I'm hoping that that will help with the rainfall. But if we just look in amongst the bottom, you can see that I've had to trim back some of the persicaria and some of the amistad, the salvia. I've got a few little pups there that you can just see popping up, but I'm not going to be too fussed about them, so I won't be wrapping them. They're a bit small, so I don't mind letting them go. But I've got 3 now in here to wrap up. So let's get started with some fleece and some string. So that's one area of the garden finished. And you can see that I've got my pots there on the top, just to protect them from the rain. And I've also, while I'm here, just popped a little bit over the top of that tree fern, as it's going to be cold now for the next 2 nights. And now I've got some white sticks in the garden. But never mind, they'll be back next year. Time first to fuel up on a little bit of caffeine, keep warm. Let's see if I can get this job done in an hour and a half. Let's get started. It's going to look very bare in the garden now. It's such a shame to cut off a leaf that hasn't even opened. Right. At least now some of these trachycarpus can get a little bit of sunshine. They've been tucked away underneath the banana trees. Right, I've got to trim up some of this persicaria so I can get to what I need to get to. First, slurp of coffee. Right, where's my secateurs? Right, so let's make a start now on wrapping up these ones. I've got this roll and one other. So hopefully I'll have enough. If not, I'll have to make an emergency purchase on Amazon. It's not actually so cold now in the garden. I did them last year and on exactly the same date. Which is pretty strange, and they all survived okay. So hopefully now we'll be lucky again this year. It's 4:15 now in the afternoon and it's just starting to get dark, and I finished just in time. So we are due another frosty night tonight. So I've placed another big ball of fleece into the sago palm, and just look how empty now this part of the garden looks. It's such a shame now to see them go, but they'll be back next year. I've got my pots on top, my yogurt pots, which I've been saving now for the last few weeks. And it's taken 2.5 rolls now to do the garden. And I've piled up the mulch around the base just to give that added protection. And hopefully now that'll be enough to see these musas through the colder months. There's always some lovely light in the garden around this time. And just look at the glow that it puts onto the plants. Absolutely stunning. And I've also made sure in this freezing cold weather to keep the bird table well stocked up. There's plenty on there, and that'll keep them going through this freezing weather for a day or so at least. And it's definitely been a race against the clock today to get these plants protected before the freezing temperatures arrive again tonight. And if you haven't already, please like, comment and subscribe to the videos. And until next time, I'll see you all soon. Bye for now.